Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. Welcome to my channel, whether you're new or returning. Big welcome to you all. I really appreciate all of my viewers, and if you are new to the channel, if you would like to subscribe below, we try our best to bring you some interesting tutorials throughout the week. And it's usually all about paper crafting, specifically cards and or albums, flip books, that kind of thing. So if that interests you at all, then don't forget to hit subscribe. We are getting very close to 500 subscribers, so as soon as we do, there will be a fabulous giveaway. So today we are working on a tea bag fold, and I know this isn't anything overly new. I just have not tried it, and I figured it would be a great tutorial. One of my viewers had recommended it, so here we are. So this is just one that I used some of the things that we have in the store as well, which I kind of wanted to highlight. So this is my sample card. So I used the Lawn Fawn paper, the Gotta Have Gingham, and I love it. So because of the size of these little squares, well, they obviously need to be folded because it gives quite a bit of dimension, which is absolutely lovely. So the size of the squares just happens to be 3 by 3. So perfect for those 6 by 6 paper packs that you might have. This is the one that I'm using today. So I've used the orange, obviously, for this sample card, and I'm going to be using the purple one for today's tutorial. So really, really love it. And so I guess we should just get into it. All right, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to bring in all of my pieces of paper on my lovely score pal. So the, whoops, that doesn't belong there. So our, the paper that we're using today, like I said, it's the Lawn Fawn Gotta Have Gingham. I just realized that I forgot to ink my edges. I'm going to do that really quickly because I have a tendency to forget. So if it's fresh in my mind, I will absolutely do it. This is the ink that I'm using, which is also in stock. It's the Seedless Preserves from it's the color is Seedless Preserves, and it's the Tim Holtz line from Ranger in the Distress Oxide. And I love using that for inking my edges. And you know what? I really didn't need to ink them right now because I'm getting ahead of myself. And this is sometimes part and parcel. Okay, so I'm going to stop inking right now because I inked them after they were folded, and this way I could get the fold lines and all those little bits that are going to be showing. So what we are going to need to start off with, and I'm going to run down the list of cardstock paper that you're going to need. I'm just using single-sided. This particular card pack or paper pack is single-sided. You absolutely can use double-sided. That would just mean that on the inside you're going to have even more lovely paper, more lovely pattern to show. So we start off with a total of 8 squares that are cut 3 by 3. So you're going to need 2 pieces of 6 by 6 cardstock. Either single-sided, double-sided, it really doesn't matter. We'll do the folding a little bit later. Also in the plaid, I had cut a square that is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And was that 1 3/4 and 1 3/4 or 1 1/2? No, sorry, 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. And I cut it on the diagonal, and I forgot to open this. So I just put these 2 little details on the inside of the card to kind of continue the plaid theme. There is a little bit of plaid under here, but for this card that I'm doing today, this tutorial, I'm going to cut the plaid a little bit larger so that you actually can see that it's the plaid and, you know, continues. So a square, sorry, 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. We're going to cut that in half on the diagonal. So we have our 2 little kind of like faux photo corners. Say that 5 times fast. Then I have another piece that is 1 7/8 by 4 7/8. That is going to layer on this. So again, you see a little bit more of the plaid around the outside. I've decided to put another little strip on the top. This little piece is just cut at a 1 5/8 by 1/2 inch. So that's a little strip there. And we're done for the plaid. Then I'll get into the base. This purple base is cut at 10 by 7. So this is going to be larger than an A2 card, but we need something a little bit larger so that it can accommodate the medallion that we're creating. I've cut a piece of white cardstock that is, where is this measurement? 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. This will go on the inside. This again is our strip for the outside, and this is cut at 1 5/8 by 1 5/8 by, I want to say it's, I didn't write this down, 1 5/8 by 4 5/8. So that one is that. And then we have 2 pieces of white cardstock that are 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 each. So that is all of the paper that we are going to need. I'm going to set that aside. So with your base, it's quite simple. It's just a regular folded card. So on the 10-inch side at the top, you're going to score at 5 inches. I've already happened to do that here. So I'm just going to fold this really quickly, and then we can get into the folding of our little squares. Just take your bone folder and burnish that really nicely. So now we have our card base. So for these little squares that create your medallion, for lack of a better word, we're going to call it a medallion. So all of these will end up interlocking, which is what creates the little circle. And then we can layer it up on that white cardstock that we have cut out. So, okay, so the first fold that you're going to do, if you're using double-sided paper, whatever paper you are wanting to have on the outside, you're going to put that face down for this folding. So right now we're just going to fold this in half. Grab your bone folder and just burnish that nicely. We're going to open it and we're going to fold it the opposite way in half. And again, burnish that. Okay, so now we kind of have a cross or a plus sign. So we've got our 4 panels, for lack of a better word. We're now going to turn it on the diagonal so we have points at the top and bottom, and we're going to fold it on the diagonal 1 time. So I'm going to fold it like this, burnish that really well, and we're done for the folding. So in order to create these little, I don't know, little pieces, little square boxes kind of thing, we are going to have to tuck in these 2. So I have got my diagonal fold is going from left to right. I tuck those in, and it's going to want to fold inwards. And then we're going to pinch that with one hand and press with the other. And this way we get our little box. I'm going to grab my bone folder because there are some folds on the inside. I'm just going to give that a good press. Make sure all my folds are nicely burnished. And we have our first little Teabag medallion part. I'm going to come in now and take my ink and just ink some of these sides. It's because it's just a single-sided and it's not double-sided, which is typically what I normally use. I just want to add a little bit of interest and color to that edge so that when you do see it pop up, that it's not stark white on the inside. That's just a personal preference. I didn't do it necessarily with my first one. I didn't really kind of go in there, but I really do love it. So we're going to do this again. I'm going to do the folding one more time. So again, we fold it up. Just want to make sure that I've got that all square. So fold that up, turn, and we're going to fold it up again so that we have folded it in half twice basically. So this gives us, hopefully you can see that a little bit better. So we've got my fold line going up and down, left to right. Now we're going to turn it on the diagonal. So I have the points at the top and the bottom, and we're going to fold this diagonally just once. Fold that and open it one more time. So now we flip it over. We're going to push these two side panels, keeping it on the diagonal. So we just did this fold line going from left to right with the points at either end. So now I'm going to push those two sides in, holding it with one hand, pushing that in, and then pushing down on my left hand. And this way it gives me a nice little box. Come back in with my bone folder, which we also do have in store, by the way. And then I'm going to come in with my ink. I have not re-inked this. I just want a little bit of ink to show. I don't need a tremendous amount. It is up to you though. I mean, if you like having a lot of ink on the edges, then by all means. You can re-ink every time you pass, but I just like to kind of give it just a little bit, a hint color. Okay, so now we have all of our 8 pieces have been folded. Just making sure that I didn't forget to ink anything really. Just could use with another little pass, I guess. There we go. Make them a little bit more uniform in terms of color. So we've got all of our 8 pieces. So we're going to take 2 of our pieces to start creating, and you're just going to continue on with how these go in. So we're taking both pieces, have the openings facing upwards, and you're going to basically slide them into one another. So I've got, as soon as that hits there, and I'm going to try to keep my points as close together, that's how you're going to have it look in the end. So this part, this side of my right hand piece is going to slide right into and nestle into the fold on the left side. So right into there. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Once you kind of see how it's supposed to look, I'm going to take my glue, and on the left hand piece, I'm just going to add a little bit, doesn't take a lot, a little bit of glue on that inside bottom corner, and I'm going to slide this piece in like we had just practiced, and I'm just going to press that really quickly. Absolutely no need for a ton of glue. This piece doesn't come up all the way to the edge, but you also don't want your glue kind of overflowing and coming out all kinds of ways, because then that, I mean, number one, it's messy, but number two, it can impede how your medallion opens. So then we're going to just keep on repeating. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue here at the bottom. I'm going to put, so again, as you go, you're going to always have your open end at the top. I'm going to nestle that in really nicely. This one is pretty easy because I'm going to keep this as flat as I possibly can, as straight as I possibly can. And I'm going to press that down again. And then I'm going to keep going all the way around. Okay, so the last one that we're putting in is, it does take a little bit of coercing, finagling, whatever the word is you want to use, inside on the left, and then it's going to go on the outside of the right. So you just kind of push it in. And it will probably stay there. However, it's going on the front of a card, so I still am going to want to add, I'm going to come in here with my fine tip, add a little bit of glue to one side, and then this part opens a little bit easier, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that side. And so it's all together. Okay, so that is the beautiful medallion that we have now created with our all those little pieces that we had cut. I'm going to give it another little burnish. It will kind of flatten down once we glue it to the white pieces that we have cut out. And so, and even if you glued this right to the card, you don't have to cut out the pieces for that extra layer. I did because I wanted to give it a little bit of separation between the plaid and the color with the plaid, with the solid color of the base. But this step is certainly one that you don't necessarily have to do. So these two pieces, the two white pieces that I've cut, basically will layer one going this way, and then the next one is going to layer the opposite way. Well, kind of the opposite way, just we're going to angle it a little bit differently. So to do this one, I am going to, how did I do it the last time? That's a good question. I think I just kind of laid down the glue on my white piece, giving myself a border. So really making sure that I am more than 1/4 of an inch on the inside. And then how we do this, I'm going to stand up for a second, is we just do our best to layer this down as evenly as possible. Give that a good press. So now we have most of it layered, and then we're going to just come in with our second piece. I'm going to repeat the same thing, staying well within our middle, and then I'm going to layer this oh, I wasn't paying attention there really. I just noticed that that was off a little bit. Okay, and then we glue that down. So now our beautiful medallion is all layered. The one thing I did forget is I cut a little circle. I just used my 1/2 inch circle punch. So just my 1/2 inch, oh my gosh, 1/2 inch circle punch. I punched out the same color as the base, and I have these little, I think they're called like dewdrops or something. I found them in my stash. So they just come, they're clear little plastic things, half circles. They're quite puffy, or there's quite a bit of depth to them. And that was what I put on the middle of my sample card. But if you have pearls, I had brought out my pearls. If you wanted to use one of those, if you can put your sentiment, if it's just like a quick little hello or small sentiment, that you could absolutely put that on the middle. So I'm just going to adhere this with some glue and get that stuck in the middle. There. Okay, so our beautiful medallion is done. And then I'm going to set that aside for a second. We're just going to get some of these other pieces all adhered. So I'm going to continue with the outside and take my sentiment strip, add some glue to the back, and we're going to layer this piece. Layer that up nicely. I'm only going to put this on once my medallion is on, and that way I can have a better idea of placement. Although they're not going to really cross over, but I just like having the main piece put in first. I'm going to attach this up here to add a little bit more interest at the top. And then we're going to come in with our inside layer. I love using colored cardstock for the base. Not only does that afford me the opportunity to add another layer, which adds some stability and rigidity to the card, but you know, if you wanted to add a second layer of the plaid underneath this, now the plaid is going to be smaller than the 7 inches wide, but you know, if you use the 12 by 12, you could certainly include that in here as well, and then cut this a little bit smaller so you have a beautiful plaid. I just chose to use these corners as my way of incorporating the plaid on the inside. You could certainly do a strip of plaid on the top, the bottom, the sides, whichever you would like to do. And I put these just a bit so they're not really in line with the white. They're almost like halfway between the white and the edge of the cardstock for our base. So that's just what I've chosen to do. And then I'm going to put this one up here like that. And these were just stamps that I happen to have in my stash. I'm going to burnish this fold a little bit better. Oh boy, glue. That's fine. I think it's going to be covered by our mandala. Mandala? It's not a mandala. Medallion. Okay, so with the front, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to make sure that my outside is all... I've got glue going around the perimeter. And then as I put this down, here, I'm going to stand up again so I get a better vantage point. And I put it in like this. So the top and the bottom are just on the inside. And then I'm looking at basically the top, the bottom, and my left side, my left point. So just making sure that those are all on the card. And then I can come in and put my sentiment on the side. And this way you have a little bit of wiggle room. You can kind of decide where you want to have it placed. But I like I said before, leaving a little bit of breathing room. So there you have our Teabag fold card. So I really, it may seem like it's a lot of work to fold 8 pieces, but really, once they're all done, the card comes together so fast and easy. These are absolutely beautiful. Now, they are larger, like I said, than the A2 card, and they do kind of puff out a bit more. So it may require a little bit of extra postage, but the recipient is going to be absolutely wowed. So we have 2 fabulous cards for you today. And I really hope that you have enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, or if you have any comments or questions about the tutorial, you can leave them below. We read and respond to absolutely every single one. If you have enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. That goes a long way, as well as subscribing. So if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button at the bottom. And if you click the bell, you'll be notified every single time a new video is posted. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you've had a fabulous time. I know I have, and that you have the rest of a fabulous day. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.